What's going down, everybody? It's your boy, that guy, my high, tuning back in for another reaction. This time we got top 10 unsettling messages left behind on Tombstones. People are just, they like to be funny. You know what I'm saying? People just like to be funny. What are we gonna say? I don't know what else to say. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they just had a dark sense of humor. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, man, let's jump into this, man. Do what you gotta do. Spark up, dab up, vape up, dip up, moonshot up, sweet tea up. Do what you gotta do. Just go up. Maybe take a shot of 2 or 3 because it comes from me. If you can't do none of that, open up your mind because ultimately that's the only way to go in. Go up anyway. You dig what I'm saying, Pippin? Dang, I almost got that one out perfect. But anyways, let's go.
Welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. Here are the top 10 unsettling messages left behind on Tombstones. Ugh, creepy.
Oh, and go ahead and make sure y'all tickle that little gooch area of the subscribe button. You know him, press that, you know what I'm saying? Because it's free. You know what I'm saying? Just hit that. Tickle that, do what you gotta do. It's free. And make sure you tune in on Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for the live reactions. You dig what I'm saying? We be doing ghost stuff, scary stuff. You dig what I'm saying? Tune in. Okay.
Let's at number 10, Giles Corey. Out of the 27 people who had their lives taken away from them during the 1692 Salem witch trials, 19 were hanged, 7 passed away in prison while serving their sentence, and the last victim was Giles Corey. He refused to plead either innocent or guilty, and the law at the time states you can't be tried otherwise. So what they did next was unimaginable.
Wait, so all I had to do was just plead the fifth? You just you just had to plead the fifth, and they couldn't give you like an actual trial. Like, I don't know. You just stick to the I don't know story the whole time, and you be all right. You can't ever go to trial. that's all right, you know. If only.
As his tombstone hints towards, Giles Corey was pressed to death. The townsfolk laid a heavy board on top of the 81-year-old man, and then over the course of 2 days, boulders were slowly added, making the weight more and more unbearable. They were hoping that Giles would admit something, either innocent or guilty, but every time they asked him anything...
Bro, they pressed to death. I thought that was just like somebody being funny. Like, they was pressuring him. You know what I'm saying? They was in his face like, bro, what? You did it, didn't you? If you didn't do it, who did it? Like, you know what I'm saying? That kind of vibe. But these motherfuckers legitimately was standing rocks on him, crushing him to death, like as if he was like on like a hydraulic press or something, being squished like on some old Star Wars ass shit when they in that little trash compactor and shit. Like, bruh. Like, so if I'm not innocent or I'm not guilty, or I plead the fifth, basically, you guys are gonna do some weird like medieval, you know what I'm saying, first century shit. Like, what the fuck?
Giles responded with more weight. Yeah, how epic is that? Extremely brave. But sadly, after 2 days of this torture, Giles Corey passed away. He fought for so long and did what he did because if he had gone either of the other 2 ways, Giles would have had his property taken away by the town. But since he passed away, not admitting guilt, he was still in full possession of his estate, which immediately went to his son-in-law. Yep, Salem witch trials. Not the craziest thing that's happening.
Look, if you know that you're gonna die anyway, and it's inevitable. Like, if I'm innocent, and they decide that I'm not innocent, like, they gonna take my shit. If I'm guilty, they damn sure gonna take my shit. So if I just sit here and say, I don't know, you know what I'm saying, just do this little emoji right here, I don't know, they can't take my shit. All right, I mean, that's, look, at least he had a plan. Like, I was sitting there wondering, like, where is he, like, what's, like, he had a plan. He had a plan.
To be honest with you. Salem witch trials were, horrible. Pretty horrible thing to look back on right off the bat.
Yeah.
Number 9, Ellen Shannon. Heading over to the late 1800s for this one, and I gotta warn you, this one is pretty dark. In 1870, we obviously didn't have the same safety requirements as we do today.
Facts.
Like, at all. For example, if you wanted to read before bed, you didn't have a Kindle back in the day, you didn't have an iPad, you didn't even have a nightlight, but you did have a kerosene lamp.
Right.
Ellen had used R.E. Danforth's non-explosive burning fluid, and, well, dare I say it, the obvious happened. Her tomb in Pennsylvania reads in memory of Ellen Shannon, aged 26 years, who was fatally burned March 21, 1870, by the explosion of a lamp filled with R.E. Danforth's non-explosive burning fluid.
That's just like, that's a shots fired. That's how they used to, that was like a Yelp review right there. That's what that was. That was a Yelp and Google review all in one right there. You know what I'm saying? They had to go, that was like them, hitting up the Better Business Bureau. You know what I'm saying? The BBB. You know what I mean? That was how they communicated, to everybody, to be like, yo, stay away from that R.E. Danforth's, non-explosive burning fluid, for your kerosene lamps and whatnot, because it's bad. All right, it's not non-explosive. The shit is very explosive, and sweet Ellen Shannon, 26 years old, was fatally burned on March 21st, 1870, by the explosion of a landfill with this. So, that was just a Yelp review right there. You know what I'm saying? That was just them letting you know what really is going down. You know what I'm saying? That's what's really going down in these streets.
Yes, that's what it actually says. And it's a tragedy. That's a horrible way to go out, don't get me wrong.
Just a
But I
Yelp
admire
review,
that
bro.
the family boldly put Ari Danforth publicly as the cause of death here. She put him on blast. Number 8,
Thanks. That's a
victim
Yelp
of the
review.
beast.
Better Business
Lily E.
Bureau.
Gray was buried in Salt Lake City
She's
Cemetery
leaving
back in
a
1958.
1-star rating.
This one is quite recent.
That's 'cause she had
as far
to
as
leave a
tombstones
star.
go. This one is the most common looking as well. It's not monumental. I'm sure many have missed it in time. The message written on the stone back in 1958 says, Lily E. Gray, June 6, 1881 to November 14th, 1958. Victim of the beast, 666. Now,
That's some
see,
old
if that
devil shit.
666 wasn't there, I would be like, oh, maybe she was attacked by an animal.
Right, like
maybe
by
like the
goddamn,
beast was a
like
natural phenomenon,
a
like
bear
a
or something,
surfing
but yeah, the
term for a large
666,
wave, or like a
some
risky
demon
mountain
shit.
trail, something like that. The 666 makes it quite specific on who they're
Like
referring
to
to
the
here.
devil.
So that's pretty haunting. The beast sounds like something sinister, something from the underworld. In the book of Revelation, the beast is literally the Antichrist. Not sure what happened here,
Right.
but the area was also known to have followers of Aleister Crowley. Crowley also referred to himself as the Beast 666. It sounds like an old Hotmail when you add numbers, doesn't it? The Beast 666. Add me. Number 7, the Ouija board. The fact that you can just buy a Ouija board from a Toys R Us now is hilarious to me. That's so creepy. They have glow-in-the-dark Ouija boards. Yeah, just in case the lights go out and you still want to communicate with the dead. And,
That's
glow in the
so
dark.
dumb.
It's fun.
You're
It's
so
like people
dumb if
want to
you
get
use
possessed
a
nowadays,
Ouija
right?
board. I don't care.
Where
I'm
did all this
calling it.
Ouija board?
I call it anybody who's using a Ouija board. If you own a Ouija board, if you sit there and have ever played with a Ouija board, you're special. Okay, you're special, and not in like the everyone wants to be like you special. No. You the other kind of special. All right, I'm just saying you the other kind, and because that's some special shit right there, bro. That's some real special shit to me. Like I just don't understand how or why anybody would want to do that. It's one thing to go ghost hunting. It's another thing to be trying to summon and talk to ghosts and shit that weren't bothering you in the first fucking place. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just not
And it
smart.
start?
Not
Well,
smart.
it began with Elijah Bond. Bond was the first person to ever patent the Ouija board, which is a scary feat in itself.
such a
lot of
dumb
questions
thing to
already.
say. Oh, I
But when
patented
he was
the Ouija
buried,
board.
he was laid to rest in an
What?
unmarked grave. Now, that was back in 1921, mind you, and it wasn't until 2007 until his resting place got an upgrade. A man named Robert Merck found his spot, raised money to get him a tombstone, and of course, it had to be a Ouija board. Yeah. If you have any words
That
you want
is
to say,
dumb.
any fan questions, bring your own easel. Go ask away. Number 6,
That is dumb.
Specimens. Specimens, yeah, not very large either. This one is a very small tombstone. This one is found
Look,
in a
that dude probably had an unmarked grave because he was trying to keep his location a secret from all the ghosts. Because the ghost was like, "Yo, bro, what the hell did you create that allowed us to do this?" You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Like, we got to get your ass. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he was trying to just keep it real low key. So he was like, I just want a rock. Just don't even put my name on it. Don't put nothing on it. Just put a rock, just to mark where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? This is my location right here, just a rock. And then y'all go ahead and go find this rock, and y'all go ahead and put another one on top of it. But instead, it's a goddamn Ouija board. You just telling all the ghosts exactly where this motherfucker's at, aren't you? You know what I'm saying? You telling all the demons who have a word to say with this motherfucker where he's at. Like,
very near an Ohio asylum. There's actually 2 of these headstones. Both of them say specimens. Again, specimens. Just that's it. The fact that these stones are the size of a shoebox also makes it even more chilling. This psychiatric facility was the first state-supported asylum in the U.S. Its history was dark in the early experimental
Specimens.
treatment days,
That's
so perhaps
weird. Like, they
these
were doing some,
headstones
like-
could be body parts. You knew I was
Nah,
going to say
bro.
that. It's bad. It's all bad. The list gets worse.
that's where that crossbreeding, weird experimental shit. They was in there, experimenting with, weird, crossbreeding projects. And these are probably a couple of them specimens that didn't quite make it. You dig what I'm saying? That's what that sound like.
Dare I
That's some
say.
creepy shit.
Only halfway. Number 5, Midnight Mary. Mary E. Hart, more commonly referred to as Midnight Mary, had to be featured on this list. Back in 1872
Midnight
in New
Mary.
Haven, Connecticut, Mary was supposedly buried alive. Yeah, accidentally. It wasn't anything horrible, although this is a pretty dark thing. It wasn't worse. Her
Accidentally,
stone has a
huh?
lot of information, all things considered. The massive slab of pink stone reads, at high noon, just from and about to renew her daily work, in her full strength and body and mind, Mary E. Hart, having fallen prostrate, remained unconscious. until she died at midnight, October 15th, 1872. Born December 16th, 1824. And then right underneath, there's one line that reads, "The people shall be troubled at midnight and pass away." Again, you had us in the first half. The back nine gets a little scary. Now, many have noticed that this phrase is from the Old Testament, but tales of her being buried alive suggest that there might be a midnight curse hanging about this area. So if you live in this area, you now have a curfew. There you go. You have a curfew now. Go home. Number 4,
that's the
Mary
weirdest
Jane
one
McCune.
so far.
Some of the details in this one I can't even talk about here on the Tube of You. It's really dark, really, really dark. Mary Jane McCune was the wife of one James Farmer. She was born in 1838 and passed away later in 1855. Quite young. Now, with many of these tombstones, they can be pretty sparse with details, like specimens, for example. Or you can explain as much as you can in that one block. Spread awareness to the public, like, any lamp mishaps. Both can be haunting to read. Underneath Mary Jane's name and dates is a message on how she passed away. Mary Jane was bitten by a rabid coyote, developed rabies, became violent, and was smothered with feather.
See, I'm about to say, what's the time period? Oh, yeah, 1838, 1855. Yeah, so they in them 1800s. I don't think we quite had rabies shots and shit. You know what I'm saying? So this one just is like, I'm really just curious to see what it's. Bitten by a rabid coyote, developed rabies, became violent, was smothered with featherbed. When husband returned, she and her unborn child were dead and buried. Damn. Like the whole little last little part was like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh. That was creepy.
The story even recalls that the husband, James, was away for work at the time and found out what happened only when he got back. That is so tragic. That's the thing with these old resting places. They have tons of information because, well, that was it. That was your legacy. Literally written in stone. It's like so many characters or less to explain how you died horribly. Number 3, Eugene.
And now we ain't even that clever no more. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say it. We ain't that clever no more. Now we just, in loving memory of such and such, these days, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think we need to go back to that. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be a little bit more, it would make cemeteries or going to visit your loved ones a little bit more interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one likes to go to cemeteries for any reason, even if you are going to visit a loved one. You know what I'm saying? But like, if you was able to sit there and walk through the stuff and go ahead and go look, and as you're walking through, finding your people's, you reading other people's little things and shit, and getting a kick and a laugh out of some of this shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think that should be a good practice. I think we should go back to that.
Things are odd. Okay, before we get into these last few, the ancient tombstone curses, first we have to look back to 1929 and how not to preserve a mummy.
Times and shit?
Yeah, let's do it. 1929, Ohio, a corpse just appeared on the road out of nowhere. We love those. There was even an address found on this man's body, but it was an empty plot of land once they followed through. They had no name for this body, so they named him Eugene.
Isn't the 1920s and 30s and shit, wasn't that like the Great Depression time and shit? Wasn't motherfuckers doing weird shit, throwing themselves out windows and shit that time?
Yeah, they named him after a local neighbor. Yeah, hey, we're gonna name this dead guy after you. Is that cool, Eugene? No? Well, too late. They used this body as an attraction. They gave it the mummy treatment, which in Ohio 1929 probably wasn't the best way, but they did it. And then 25 years later, when more and more people started asking about this Ohio mummy, they laid the man to rest. Finally, they officially buried him in 1964. So now when you see this grave, it says, Eugene, found dead in 1929, buried 1964. I bet so many people are confused if they saw this.
Right, like how you die and not be buried for 20 plus years later. Like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Like, what did...
Send them this video and then type, "You won't believe number 3." They're like, "What? Do you work for MA? What is this guy doing? Why did you tell me to press the thumbs up? Who is this?" Number 2, ancient tomb curse. Ancient Egyptian tombs are beautiful. Even after this many years, they're well preserved. Ancient Egyptians believed that false doors were a connection to the dead, and that's how spirits were able to travel here and there. Most false doors can be found in the west wall because Egyptians believed that the west was the land of the dead. The walls of ancient Egyptian tombs are also full of jewelry, art, clothing, basically anything valuable you may need in the afterlife.
Shit, they used to. We've watched some of these videos where they didn't just bury important people with just their jewelry and their clothes and shit like that. Like, it wasn't just materialistic shit. These motherfuckers was having pets buried with them and shit, family members and shit. Like, there was one that I watched, the whole family was in there. They had the dad, the mom, the grandma, like 4 or 5 kids and shit. It was like, how'd the whole family die at the same time? And it was just like, that was their thing. Like, the whole family got to go to the afterlife at the same time. We got to go with dad. Like, what kind of shit is that? Like, that's some creepy shit.
You're offering up your finest treasures. But with that comes a warning from these gods. One warning trespassers that the gods will wring their neck like that of a goose if you were to steal anything that wasn't yours in these tombs. Inside the found tomb of Ankh-Mahor, for example, who was a pharaoh official 4,000 years ago, inside their tomb, a curse was left over. He was buried in Mastaba in an above-ground massive tomb, and left on the wall was this warning: might do against this, my tomb, the same shall be done to your property. And then it continues to warn trespassers
that's
of
basically
Ankh-Mahor's
like, yeah, I'm
knowledge.
about to say that's for them grave robbers and grave looters and shit. That's what that was. That's a warning shot. That's like having like a, warning, dog on property, or warning, you will get shot if you trespass. Like, that was, you know what I'm saying? That was just one of them, like, that was an old school, Egyptian style warning. You know what I'm saying? That's all that was.
Spells and magic, and threatens to fill impure intruders with a fear of seeing ghosts. Yeah, I think that ought to do the trick. No way I'm messing with an ancient magician pharaoh. I'm good. I'm definitely all good. And finally, number 1, KB55. Yeah, we'll end this list on an ancient Egyptian tomb, with perhaps the most chilling message left over of all time. This tomb was found, of course, in the Valley of the Kings by Edward Ayrton back in 1907. It was discovered right next to King Tut's tomb. This was a big deal. But the reason we referred to this tomb by a number rather than a name is because, well, we still have no idea who it was made for. Even the walls of the tomb inside, they aren't covered with any hieroglyphs, no artwork, no fake doors. There isn't any clothing laying around, there's no jewelry, it's just bare, which is extremely odd given what I just told you. As you walk down the 20 steps towards KB55, you'll notice only a few markings on the entrance, markings that show that the entrance was widened since it was first cut, along with the ceiling being raised higher. So adjustments were made at some point, meaning this was not a forgotten project by any means, which makes it creepier. The only hint as to who or what is buried remains on the wall, and it's one hieroglyph. That hieroglyph translates to, "The evil one shall not live again." Yet I sure hope not. I've seen the mummy, and I really hope not.
So maybe he's buried next to King Tut, because King Tut, wasn't he like one of the most iconic and powerful, like, Egyptian kings back in the day or whatever, in like history and shit? I could be totally wrong. I'm just spitballing here. But maybe like, he was buried next to King Tut because King Tut was the one that, his spirit was going to be the one that suppressed and kept that dude's spirit at bay and kept him, in afterlife and shit. I don't know. Just speculate. Just throwing shit out there. I don't know.
Cheers on that one. Yeah, hit that thumbs up for no more curses and good stuff. Happy Easter if you celebrate. Thumbs up, and we'll see you next time on Most Amazing Top 10. Maybe for some more unsettling messages left behind on some tombstones. Who knows? I don't know. It's time.
Anyways, but yeah, let's jump into. That was the end of that one. I was about to say, let's jump into this. Like, we're on live. But anyways, man, catch us on live Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. And just be on the lookout for them regular uploads and whatnot. You know what I'm saying, Playby? Playby. I was about to say player and baby at the same. A playby. That came out of my mouth. A playby. All right, players. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.